I'm Josh Wilder. I'm the content director for Mother Earth News. I'm here in Topeka, Kansas, and I'm glad to be talking to Lexy Silverstein. She's a sustainable fashion advocate who's made news in Vogue, The Guardian, and LA Times, and she's going to talk to me today about how to turn Halloween into an eco-friendly celebration. We're going to be chatting about upcycling clothes you already own, finding unique gems at thrift stores, and offering practical, stylish solutions to ditch single-use costumes and reduce waste without sacrificing any of the fun. So, uh, great to talk to you today, Lexy.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you too. Thanks so much for having me on.
For sure. So, start off, can you talk a little bit about kind of Halloween in general and what some of the issues are surrounding the holiday?
Yeah, of course. I think what's important to note is, first of all, 83% of Halloween costumes end up in landfills each year. So I know, shocking. That's right. Those sparkly witches and superhero suits don't kind of magically disappear after October 31st. They do kind of stick around and for a very long time. Costumes generate 12 million pounds of textile waste in the US annually. So I feel like if you kind of think about it, it makes sense. Like, honestly, how often are we really wearing those superhero costumes, that cat costume, that Chucky costume? I don't know. To each their own. Um, but how often do you really wear that after the one holiday? Um, I'm gonna assume not often. And so most of those end up getting thrown out and going to landfills. As well, 83% of prepackaged costumes are made of oil based plastic materials, meaning they're literally designed for single use and destined for a landfill near you. So they're not even necessarily built to last you, even if you were to want to wear your Chucky costume every single day. Um, so I think that it's important to note that and to realize that we should be making decisions in our day-to-day life when purchasing garments that will make them last longer, that will make sure we're really getting our use out of them. I think that whether you're buying a Halloween costume or you're buying everyday clothing, you should always ask yourself, how often am I going to wear this? What am I going to wear it with? Where am I going to wear it? And I always suggest those questions. And so I think realistically, when asking those questions around Halloween costumes, you're probably not going to wear them that often. You're not going to be able to wear them with that many things. So I really am encouraging people to secondhand source any of their costumes and to have fun with it. Like, go through your own closet, find ways of making these costumes with pieces that you already have or pieces that you can buy but then wear again. Um, so that's where I'm at with the holiday. And I love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday and I love dressing up, but I think the whole mindset around it is to dress up like someone else, to have fun, to get creative. Planning those costumes is half of the fun of wearing them. So planning them in a way that is more sustainable is so important.
Yeah, I agree. And I was telling Lexi before we started recording that I went to school at Ohio University, and they have a huge Halloween block party every year. And so, I mean, obviously, being a college student, I did spend a lot of time, going through thrift and vintage stores to try to find the perfect pieces. So, kind of using that mindset, like what are some of your favorite thrift store finds that you feel are, I guess, most versatile and can be easily upcycled into costumes?
Yeah, there are so many. I think a classic is truly just a white button up. There's so many costumes I feel like you can do with a white button up. I'm thinking Clark Kent or Superman. Maybe if you thrift some sort of Superman shirt, you can wear it underneath a button up shirt, put some sunglasses on, like a suit jacket, and a tie, and have that kind of like reveal of the white t-shirt with the Superman costume underneath it, the Superman shirt underneath it. Super simple. I think that with a white t-shirt, you can do Tom Cruise from Risky Business. We just wear a large white button-up shirt, some sunglasses, and some socks, and easiest costume out there. a classic every time. I think on top of that, I always love like a good gossip girl or like schoolgirl outfit, a button up and like a plaid skirt, maybe also some glasses, or you can spice it up with like a headband if you want to be like Serena van der Woodsen or Winter Waldorf. But there are so many things that I think are easy to do with just a plain white t-shirt and I'm or button up, and I'm sure that many people already have that in their closet. Um, I think too, I think pink, anything with pink, there's like 8 different directions you could go in. We could do Elle Woods. I've done that before, or Sharpay Evans from High School Musical. I've done that before, and I have a small dog, and I like to rope her into a lot of my costumes. And so I wore just like a pink dress, um, had some like books in my hands and like a cute little pen, and I was Elle Woods. But then I've repurposed the pink dress and I don't know, wore it in a little bit more of like a Y2K way with like a skinny scarf and a hat or like a tiara, and that's very Sharpay Evans or even Hannah Montana. Um, or obviously the Barbie movie came out last year, so you can be many different variations of Barbie. There's a lot out there, but I think just a pink dress for that is super easy to do for Barbie. So that's another like super simple one with, I mean, I love pink. I will pink on like I wear pink on my day to day. So repurposing that then to just be an everyday outfit too is super simple. Um, but that's some of them. Oh, sorry. Let me also mention Wicked is coming out. So Glinda, if we want to stick with the pink vibe. And I think a timeless classic could just be a witch or a ghost. You know, if you have some sort of, I've done some fun like photo shoots where with my family we all got together and had a fun time where we took just like bed sheets and then wore some like sunglasses over top of the bed sheets and we were like a spooky ghost. Or a witch, you could always just wear all black and thrift some sort of witch hat, which then I would always keep the witch hat and repurpose it even if you don't end up being a witch the following year for Halloween. It's great for Halloween decor. So there's just so many routes. That's like a few that you can go with the same basic one piece. But there's even more that I could talk about. And I think again, like part of the half of the fun, at least for me, and I feel like for some people, most people, part of the fun of Halloween is planning the costume and getting it put together and just seeing where your creativity flows with that. So um, being able to have that creative aspect and walking into a thrift store and having a few different ideas in mind of maybe what you want to be, and how you can create it with pieces that you already have or that you can wear again, is an extra added like bonus and challenge with the creativity. But I don't even think it's that much of a challenge. It's just it's pretty fun. Um, and also thrift stores have Halloween sections. So if that helps you with your creativity at all, that should, I don't know, encourage you to go to a thrift store near you.
For sure. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned like kind of creating a costume with your family, and that's obviously that's always really fun, but it definitely adds in an extra layer of difficulty. You know, trying to find the right one that works for all the members in the
Yeah.
group. You know, like so that begs the question. So at what point do you start in like maybe possibly it's a step up, but creating different accessories maybe for the costume, and do you have any experience doing that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of costume making is the DIY aspect of it, not just the purchasing of pieces that can make the ensemble work together. But there are plenty of things that you can make. I know that for um, like I for dog costumes or for children costumes, like I've thought of my my nephew, he went as Dobby one year, and so he just wore like a gray shirt and gray pants, and then my my his mom put like cut out cardboard and like just drew a little bit for the ears. So like having any spare cardboard, sometimes like I always like to save and try to repurpose when I get packages in the mail. Um, so that those cardboard boxes, like that would be a good time around this time to keep them and find ways of maybe cutting them out and making and adding those to enhance your costume. So anything that has like ears, I know that a popular one um, is the Fantastic Mr. Fox costume, and they have obviously the fox ears. So maybe doing like a cutout and just drawing some ears with some crayons and markers, getting creative, or maybe even gluing if you have like some orange fabric or yellow fabric, like gluing that onto the cardboard to make those ears. I feel like a lot of costumes involve ears of some sort, so I feel like that could be easily made. What's common too with superheroes and stuff like that is a cape of some sort. So I feel like, I mean, a cape can be made with any scrap piece of fabric, any clothes that you don't want to use anymore, any, towel that you don't want to have anymore. So just using that and upcycling it into, just tie it around your neck, have a little cape behind you. If you, I mean, I always have scrap fabric laying around because I do a lot of like upcycling work. So if that's something that you already have or something that you're interested in, like just using that random fabric and then maybe repurposing it after into something else. But there's so many like fun DIY things. I feel like that's also like a big part of the fun of making a Halloween costume is like getting your hands a little dirty.
Yeah.
So there's tons of fun ideas that you can do with things that you already might have in your house.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've definitely used some of the cardboard in the past for a couple of costumes. I think
Hmm.
my wife and I were a couple from the Alfred Hitchcock movie, The Birds.
Hmm.
Just like I made a bunch of birds out of cardboard and paper mache, and
Hmm.
just like safety pinned them to our clothes.
Yeah.
And one year we were Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers, and I just made like a big cardboard guitar.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome. I love that.
yeah. And then for my son, a couple years ago, I made a classic cardboard robot costume. Like,
Oh yeah, that's
yeah,
definitely a great one for kids. It's just I've never gone actually for Halloween as a robot, but in my like elementary school talent show, me and my friends were robots for part of the dance, and
it's awesome.
I remember we just literally just took a box and DIY'd it a little bit, and took some wrap, styrofoam wrap, or not styrofoam, what is it called? What is the silver wrap? Whatever that you use to store food. Everyone hopefully
Oh,
knows.
aluminum foil, aluminum foil. Yeah,
Yeah, aluminum foil. Thank you. I was like,
yeah.
what is the
Yep.
word? Just taped that around the box and became a robot, and it was so easy. It's great.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, obviously, we have so many like different things we have around the house, and I mean, everybody has cardboard these days because
Yeah,
everything that we get sent in the mail.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, and I think trying to find the right things. Like obviously, not everyone's pet will uh, allow a costume, but I know. I mean, I only have two cats, and there's no way we're gonna get a costume to stay on them. But like there's some amazing costumes I've seen on pets, but frankly, I don't see it as many DIY'd as I feel like could be.
yeah. I feel like like my dog. I rope, like I said, I rope her into a lot of my costumes, and usually it's just that she has to be herself a dog. Like it's just that the main character or whatever had like this iconic small dog, and I have a small dog, so I hold her in whatever photos that I end up doing. But I have these I've made like bat wings for her, and it's so easy. Just take cardboard and cut out some bat wings and like take a black marker and just scribble on it a little bit and and just do some gluing and attach them and attach little things for it to go over her arm. But that's like an easy one for her to wear that I feel like will actually somewhat stay on her a little bit. Like she doesn't mind that one, so I just keep reusing those every year. But there's definitely some things if your animals are willing to participate. There are some simple ones that I feel like stay on them that can definitely be DIY'd, or even like literally just putting like a bandana on them and then they're like a cowboy dog, like super easy, like simple things that you can do if you can even upcycle stuff that you have. I know that when my dog was when we first got her and she was a puppy, she's still very small. She's like 5 pounds, but when we got her, she was even smaller. And she was so cold because she was so small and it was the winter. So we took like socks and like made her little shirts. And so I think a fun idea would be kind of doing something similar if you have like an old band tee, if you get like merch from any concert that you go to and you don't really wear the shirt anymore, just like cutting it up and making it like a smaller shirt for your dog, and then they can be like a rock and roll dog, and maybe also putting like a bandana and maybe cutting out, like you said, like and making like a small guitar, just so that when you take photos, like you can add to the add to the bit. But I feel like those are simple ones that, like, again, if your animals are able and willing to put clothes on, that's like a fun, easy one for getting them involved and having them have a Halloween costume from home.
For sure, yeah, yeah. And I think, a lot of our audience too has a variety of different animals. We have a lot of breeders that have chickens, or
Mm.
even, goats and sheep, and, cows and horses perhaps. But I think especially chickens, I've seen some chicken costumes in the past, and I can imagine like the creativity I mean, first of all, I don't even know. I've never put a costume on a chicken, but I can imagine, unless like it's you have a really good relationship with it, I could see that being a little difficult.
Yeah, that is very impressive. I've also never put a costume on a chicken, but I would love to see what you do with that. I even feel like if you have just like animals like that, like being like having them just be a chicken or be a sheep and like be like little Bo Peep or whatever. Like
Yeah,
there's ways to coordinate it so that they're also like a part of it, but you don't even have to necessarily dress them. But I would
sure.
love to see a chicken Halloween costume. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, that'd be excellent. So back to talking about like obviously animals and pets are part of your family. And kind of a lot of folks, they're fur babies. So talking about that, like having kids and their costumes. you know my son has like a costume bin, and like all of his Halloween costumes go into that bin. And honestly, like costumes for kids, I mean, really, some adults, like it's an all year situation. Like if you can find the right, you know, outing to wear a witch costume, I mean, why not?
Yeah, I'm with
So
that.
yeah, right. So considering that, like, what are some things that you would recommend that like might encourage kids to like start or play with a dress up bin?
Yeah, I mean, my brother growing up, we would I'm younger than him, so I say we, but it was my parents, it was not me. Um, but he would always wear a Woody costume, and then when he wasn't wearing a Woody costume, he was wearing like a Spider-Man costume. And I mean, they just like let him go to the grocery store and go shopping with him, or like go to play dates in those costumes because he loved it so much. Um, and now my nephew, it's very cute, but my since he would always wear his my brother would always wear his Spider-Man costume, we did this very cute little thing where like my brother gave my nephew a Spider-Man costume, um, because he's always wearing like Spider-Man and he loves Spider-Man. So it was like a handing down like of the costume throughout the generations. And now my nephew will go and wear his Spider-Man costume out and about. And I mean, I think that keeping if you I always say like um and, you know, it's hard to be 100% sustainable 100% of the time, and sometimes there are those occasions where you're going to buy something that's maybe not from a store that you support because it was all you had, and you just really needed this one thing in this exact moment. And so, like, that happens, and then I think when you do purchase those things, like, what is the most important next steps, even though it's maybe not, like, a fabric that you usually, or a textile that you usually, try to wear it because it's not organic or doesn't last as long. Um, I think that, like, once that occurs, it's how you handle that garment, that item, to make sure that it's living a long life and that it still has that longevity to it, and that you're taking care of the pieces that you have, even if they're not necessarily sustainable. So, before I was on my sustainability journey, I shopped a lot of fast fashion stores, in high school and middle school, and I still have some of those pieces today because I've just taken care of them. So I think having some sort of dress up box like that is amazing, where it's like, maybe if your kid wants to wear, you know, this item again, or I don't know, I was a kid, we all were kids once, like I remember wanting to dress up as princesses all of the time, not just for Halloween. So keeping those items and using it for play dates and using it to, I don't know, like wear just over and over again, I think is a great way of kind of keeping that longevity, even if the item itself wasn't necessarily sustainable, like making sure that you're, using it and taking care of it, and just wearing it like as much as you can now that you've purchased it. So having a box like that and just keeping them around, for when your kids might want to wear them again is a great idea, I think, and again, just keeping that longevity so it's a little bit more sustainable than just buying something that you like might only wear once and then immediately getting rid of it or throwing it out.
Yeah, I agree. And along the same vein, like, you know, having a child that grows rapidly, like obviously some of the costumes aren't going to fit the next year or in the
Mhm,
next couple years. So I mean, some of the things like masks that will last a bit longer, um,
mhm.
but also, you know, kind of crowdsourcing and making your dress up bin available to other families that are looking, like
Hey.
your your community to give them, you know, something to choose from, like open up your dress up bin as your own like community thrift store basically,
Mhm.
you
I
know.
love that's
um,
that's a great way of looking at things.
and I mean, you know, it's hard because like obviously, you know, stuff gets sent, you know, even if you have the best of intentions and stuff gets sent to the thrift store. I mean, thrift stores don't keep everything forever, and that doesn't, that's, I mean, that's part of the cycle to the landfill. So you know, if you do pick up something like, honestly, this chicken mask behind me, um, I got it on clearance after Halloween a few years ago, and I was like, I don't know when I'm going to use this, but like it's such a good deal. Like it was it it was an impulse buy, like very much an impulse buy, but you know, we do a lot of chicken content around the office, so sometimes I brought it here, and now sometimes I'll put it on, and we do chick hatching in the office, like in the spring.
Oh.
So like I've used it as like the hatching coach.
Oh, I love it. That's amazing.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, yeah. So if you ever want to make like, you know, fun videos with, you know, keep your costumes because,
yeah.
you know, it's
Yeah. I think that's, like, kind of what I mentioned with, like, the witch hat, or just, like, any part of your costume. Like, I have repurposed a lot of my costumes or my, Halloween decor, and I just have a box in my apartment that I, you know, pull out around, Halloween season, holiday season, that has pieces that I've just kept for a long time and then just repurpose them as decor. So that's a great way of bringing it out again and just not disposing of it, because like I don't know. I always feel like Halloween time runs or comes around, and I'm like, I'm in need of a witch hat. Like I'm not being a witch for Halloween, but like it just seems fitting. So it's like I've had one for a really long time, and I'll pull it out and I'll just put it like on some sort of desk or something around the house, to add to the decor aspect of things. And I do that with so many things. Like, I mean, obviously, I focus a lot on fashion. It is my fashion is my passion, as the people say. And so around my house, like sometimes that does happen. Like I've had an impulse buy of, I don't know, something I found on eBay that I was like, I don't know when I'm gonna wear this, but it's so beautiful that I want it. For that one time I'm gonna wear it. And I end up like hanging. I feel like half of my like home decor is just like my clothes at this point. Like it's just like a museum in my apartment of all the clothes that I love.
Hmm.
And I end up hanging them on the wall and having that as an aspect of um like my home decor. And so I feel like that should be kind of like some of the mentality that we have with Halloween costumes, is like if you have something and you're, again, a witch hat, and you were a witch this year but you're not going to be one next year, like just keep it around so that you can just repurpose it in a fun way.
Yeah, I mean, it really just comes back to that like idea of versatility and being really thoughtful before you bring really anything into your wardrobe. Like, what are all the uses you're going to get out of it? Whether it's as a costume or as decoration, or possibly like a white button up. Like,
Hmm.
it's something you can repurpose and make them part of your wardrobe after you have the costume.
Hmm.
You know, I just was thinking like we were talking about making a cape earlier. I had come across a DIY for, if you have an old T-shirt, you can just basically use the collar as
Hmm.
as the collar, and then just cut the back off and turn that into a cape. Like,
Completely. There are so many fun things that you can do with t-shirts, and I have a whole just Pinterest board of like things that I can do with t-shirts, because I feel like I always have a lot of t-shirts, but I actually like don't really wear like just t-shirts that often. Like I usually am just wearing a little bit more extravagant things sometimes. But so I have a bunch of t-shirts, or I have like merch from concerts that I've been to, and there's always something that you can do with a t-shirt, whether it's for a Halloween costume or finding an easy way to just cut it up and wear it as like something that might be a little bit more your style. Um, but I just think it's like it's the fun of like seeing this blank canvas and being like, okay, what could I do with this? And I'm actually, for my social, gonna do a series of like 13 days of Halloween costumes from my closet. And I think that that will be a good challenge for me to see what I already have and see how I can turn it into some sort of costume. And I encourage everyone to maybe do that this Halloween season, of just looking in your closet and seeing how you can kind of repurpose something. I think it's like a fun little challenge.
I love that. That's a great idea. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Now that I don't have as many occasions to go to Halloween parties as I used to, but I still look at my closet and be like, what costumes do I have? Because
Yeah,
yeah, why not? I
there's
mean,
so many. You could, with a plaid shirt like the one you're wearing now, you could be a werewolf, you could be a lumberjack. There's so many things. Like a good plaid shirt is such a great like core. I don't know. I think of like plaid when I think of fall and when I think of Halloween, and so I feel like there's so many costumes around that. And so you're already one step ahead. You're right there. My dad, for maybe as long as I can remember, has had a shirt, just a t-shirt that says "This is my costume," and he wears it every Halloween since maybe I was like born. I have
yeah,
never not seen him wear that shirt.
that's
So if you want to go in that route, that's an easy DIY. Take a t-shirt, write something on it, you're
yeah,
set.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll be honest. This beard is probably one of the main accessories I consider when I put together a
I
Halloween
love
costume.
it. I
I
love
mean,
it.
you can do wizard really easily. You do like
Oh, that's a good one. That's such
Greek
a
god.
Wizard's a great one. I love it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate your time, and thanks so much for talking to us about upcycling costumes. And
Thank you so much for having me on.
for sure.